I served my wife divorce papers after her lover grabbed her sass, and she smiled. Now, she's begging for forgiveness. My wife is 30 years old, female, and I am 32, male. We just returned from a long weekend camping trip with two other couples, friends we've known for years. We had a great time, but something happened the morning we left that I can't shake. We were all packing up, getting ready to head back home. I was loading our car when I looked up and saw my wife and my friend. They were at the campsite several feet away. She was bent over to pick something up, and in that split second, I saw him reach out and squeeze her hip, sliding his hand down her backside. My wife quickly pushed his hand away, but she didn't look upset. She was smiling at him, almost playfully. It all happened so fast, maybe a second or two, but it felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I glanced around, but no one else seemed to have seen it. His wife was busy packing up their car, and the other couple was further away, chatting about the ride back. The drive home was quiet. My wife tried making conversation, but I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying that scene over and over. When she asked why I was so quiet, I lied and said I was just thinking about work. The truth is, I was in shock. I didn't want to bring it up. If I mentioned it, she might try to tell me I was imagining things, that I was being ridiculous. The rest of the day, I felt like I was just moving on autopilot. I barely slept last night and can hardly focus at work today. My mind keeps racing, questioning every detail. Aside from what I saw, the rest of the trip was great, and nothing seemed out of place. A part of me is wondering if I read the whole situation wrong, but the look on her face, that smile, was too friendly, too casual for something that crossed a line like that. I love my wife to death. We've been together since freshman year of college, and I've never had reason to doubt her. She's my best friend, but now, for the first time, there's this knot in my gut that I can't untangle. I've never been the type to snoop. I've always trusted her completely. But right now, I'm sitting here wondering if I should check her phone. It's password protected, so even if I wanted to, I don't know how I'd do it without her finding out. This is eating me up, and I know I need to do something about it. Would I be the idiot to go through her phone? And even if I wanted to, how can I if it's password protected? Update: I found her iPad. It didn't have a password, so I got in. It's still connected to her phone, and she has Telegram on it. They've been chatting on there. I am still going through the messages, but it's clear she's cheating. I'm not falling apart yet. I'm trying to keep it together to make the correct next move without messing this up. What do I do? Do I confront her when she gets home? Do I go to his house and confront him? Please help. Update: thank you all for your advice. I didn't tell her anything. I've locked myself up in my home office under the pretense of needing to catch up on work. She isn't suspicious. I kept the iPad with me. She hasn't used it in so long, she won't even know it's missing. I took pictures of all their messages using my phone as a safety measure. As far as I can tell, they've been chatting for at least 8 months. Telegram is their main communication channel. It seems they've sent each other explicit messages and made plans to make their relationship official after leaving me and his wife. I can't believe she would do this to me. From the messages I saw, she sent him a suggestive photo of herself on her way to the gym earlier this evening. When she got back home, she started kissing me, wanting sex. I declined, saying I needed to get work done. I am confused right now and unable to think clearly, so I will follow the advice I am offered here. Lawyer up and gather evidence. I will work on those. I also saw several comments advising me to separate my finances from hers. We co-own the apartment we live in and have joint bank accounts. My parents died in a car crash 2 years ago and left me a large inheritance, which she knows about. She does not have access to the money in that fund. Is there anything I need to do to protect myself there if it comes to that point? We don't have kids yet. Update: I work from home sometimes and didn't have any meetings this morning, so I spent it searching and calling lawyers. I have 2 consultations lined up for tomorrow, but most couldn't book me until next week. I will tell her wife and show her proof as soon as I settle on a lawyer and get myself covered first. Once she's been informed, I will give her time to get her affairs in order and secure a lawyer if that's what she wants to do before I decide what to do next, such as confronting my wife. I don't understand how I'm feeling. I am not angry, for some reason more numb, maybe sick and nauseous when I think of the messages I've read, especially the SX messages. I just feel like I am doing the things I need to be doing right now, but it's almost like I'm living somebody else's life. I don't know how long I can keep up the poker face without her noticing something is up. Thanks for your messages and support. Update. Guys, I am humbled by all the messages and advice I've received. Not much has happened since yesterday, just keeping myself busy with work and the gym. The anniversary of my parents' passing is coming up in about a month, and she obviously knows this. So when she asked why I seemed off, I just told her I was thinking about them. I have consultations with several lawyers lined up, most next week, a few this afternoon. I will update after I settle on a lawyer and know what my options are. Final update. I found an excellent lawyer who managed to draft my divorce papers within days, and they were filed this morning. I am in a no-fault jurisdiction, which means all the evidence of infidelity I gathered can't be used in court. The good news is that my inheritance is safe because I didn't use it for marital expenses. Our condo was a wedding gift, with both sets of parents each contributing 50% to the down payment. So one of us will have to buy the other out, or we'll both sell it on Saturday. I called my ex-friend's wife and asked to meet her for coffee. I chose the day because, ironically, her husband and my wife had gone on an overnight trip together. I found out from their messages on the iPad. They claimed my wife was staying at her sister's for the weekend to help with the kids while her sister's husband was away on a business trip, and that her husband was going away for a work-related project. The truth is, my wife and her husband were taking a trip out of town together and staying at a hotel, all paid for by the Casanova himself. I showed her their messages on the Telegram app, pictures included. She told me she noticed him feeling distant and withdrawn a few months ago. She thought it was just work stress and had no reason to suspect he was cheating. Finding out that her husband was, in fact, cheating with my wife, who is also her friend, came as a blow to her. We chatted some more, and I gave her my lawyer's number. She considers her options. Sunday night, my wife returned from her sister's house. She walked through the door, greeted me with kisses, and said she missed me, right after spending the weekend with her lover. Her ability to compartmentalize is almost diabolical. I sat her down and told her we needed to talk. I had the whole conversation recorded without her knowledge, following my lawyer's advice. I live in a one-party consent state. Here's how it went. I asked her to promise to be honest with me. Of course, baby, she replied, though she was nervous. Then, I asked her a series of questions. Do you love me? Yes. Are you happy with me? Yes, of course, baby. Have I been a good husband to you? Do I treat you right? Yes and yes. What the hell is going on? Please humor me. Okay. Have I ever done anything to hurt you, whether physically or emotionally? No, of course not. What the hell? If you're happy with me, then why are you cheating on me? She stared at me in shock for a good minute and then immediately started denying it. This went on for a while until I told her to drop the act because I found out the truth. Eventually, she broke down and admitted to kissing a guy who had been hitting on her at a bar during a night out with her girlfriend a few months ago. I don't know why, but at this point, I started laughing because the whole thing was just absurd. She hadn't just cheated once. She had taken every opportunity she could find. I asked her if that was the only time she cheated. She swore up and down that it was the only time and that it was a moment of weakness, that she was drunk and it meant nothing. I said nothing and handed her my lawyer's business card, telling her I filed for divorce. I hadn't yet. I wanted to talk to her just once to see if there was anything left of our marriage worth salvaging. And if she wanted to reach me, she could call my lawyer. I begged and apologized. Then when I started packing a suitcase, she shifted to gaslighting me, saying I was throwing away everything we had over a mistake. The worst part was when she said, "You have no one else in the world. Why would you leave the only family you have left?" This stung because I had told her she was my only remaining family after my parents died, and that there was no one else I could depend on. Only for her to throw those words back in my face. I left that night for a hotel, where I am staying until I find a new apartment. Yesterday, I officially filed for divorce. I didn't tell her that I knew about the affair with my ex-friend after she admitted to kissing some random guy at the bar. She ended up finding out from his wife. My ex-friend's wife confronted him and called my wife, giving her an earful. She was upset when I told her I couldn't keep it in, and I don't blame her. He really did her dirty. Her mom is sick and she had been going out of town to be with her, but instead of supporting her, he used that time to get with my wife. I didn't tell her I knew about the affair because I was blindsided by her admitting to kissing a random guy. It may sound insignificant compared to the double life she was leading with my friend, but in that moment, I started realizing how badly she wanted to cheat on me, and it came as a shock. I was too angry to say anything to her without blowing up, so I just left. It's hard to explain why, but it just made more sense to leave, to try to find out why she had been sleeping with my ex-friend. After I left the house, she kept calling me that night and leaving messages. When my ex-friend's wife called her the next day and confronted her husband as well, she stopped trying to reach me. It's been crickets from her since, and from him too. I put two and two together, because around the time my ex-friend's wife messaged to tell me she confronted him and called my wife, I stopped getting calls from her. Update: I am just looking to let out some of my anger and frustrations. I hope that's okay. I've posted here once before and found it to be a very supportive community. I have already filed for divorce a few weeks ago. I found out my wife had been cheating on me with my friend. The way I found out was completely by accident. I happened to be in the right place at the right time, looking in their general direction. Eventually, when I confronted her, I found out that she had also kissed a random guy she met at a bar. At this point, God knows what else she's done. There's been so much denial, so much gaslighting. I just can't fathom how someone who says they love you can do that. My parents died a few years ago, and I was an only child, so she was the only family I had left. It was very traumatic for me, and I told her that after their death. I leaned heavily on her, and as I was leaving the house, she threw those words right back in my face, reminding me that I had no family left but her. I am so angry that she would twist my own words against me, and just so effing hurt, mostly because it's true. The friend she cheated with was one of my groomsmen at our wedding. He was there at my parents' funeral. I am just sitting here thinking about all the times I was loving her and thinking she was loving me too. How stupid must she think I am? I mean, I must be a little stupid to have taken me this long to figure out she is cheating on me. New update. Some updates from the last time I posted. My wife was served the divorce papers last week. I am still at the hotel and close to finding a new apartment. Last week, when I left, I forgot to take my iPad with me. I picked it up when I went back a couple of days later to grab clothes and other stuff. Apparently, my wife had a fallout with her friend who was with her at the bar, accusing her of being the one who told me about her kiss with that hot guy. Her friend is no longer speaking with her, it seems, after everything went down. His wife threw him out, and he's been staying at his sister's place. She and I have been talking. She found a lawyer and is filing for divorce. She has informed our few common friends about what's been going on, and they've all cut off contact with her. Also, the idiot came by my place and spent the night with my wife twice last week. She has also been messaging her sister, who it turns out knew about the affair. My wife found a lawyer, apparently, and was complaining to her sister that her lawyer explained the asset division and confirmed she has no claim on my inheritance, which she thought was unfair. Now here's the gut punch. All those conversations about finding an apartment together and becoming official have significantly cooled since my wife's visit to her lawyer, which I found odd. A few days ago, I got a message from her asking if we could put a pause on the divorce proceedings. She said she loves me, thinks we're being crazy about this, and that everyone deserves a second chance. She even hit me with, "I can't live without UBS." If I didn't have the iPad, I might have thought she was genuinely remorseful, but knowing what she's been up to all week, I knew this only came after she realized she won't be entitled to a cent of my inheritance. Honestly, that effing hurt. I am following my lawyer's advice, who told me not to respond. The more I think about it, the more disgusted I am by her, my friend, and her sister. The fact that her change of heart seems to stem entirely from her discovery that she won't touch my inheritance is beyond disturbing. I always intended to use that money for a trust fund if we had kids, something I told her countless times. I didn't touch it because it reminded me of the trauma of losing my parents. The level of disrespect she has shown, not only me but also my parents, who loved her and treated her like a daughter, is just unacceptable. I'm just glad they're not here to see this. I met up with his wife over the weekend. She's my friend too, and she's been going through a rough time, especially with her mom's health issues, on top of this whole mess. I told her about the messages. Long story short, she had been reconsidering the divorce after her husband tried to reconcile with her. But once I showed her the messages about my inheritance and pointed out how their messages have cooled, she saw things differently. She also shared something that struck me. Apparently, a few months after my parents passed, her husband had made a comment about how I was a lucky son of a gun for inheriting their money. She confronted him, and he backtracked, claiming he didn't mean it that way. At the time, she brushed it off, but now she is second-guessing his motives. It seems far-fetched, but it's starting to sound like she thought she would get her hands on some of it after divorcing me and start a new life with him. Either way, their behavior is despicable. I've been trying to look after myself. I started therapy, I've been going to the gym almost obsessively, and trying to stay away from alcohol. I am trying so hard to put on a strong exterior. Some of my friends have said it's a little scary how cold I've been, but it's the only way I can go about my day-to-day without losing my mind. The nights are very rough. I struggle with sleep, and I sometimes drink to help me through it. I'm not proud, and sometimes I cry myself to sleep. Edit. I won't be posting any further updates in the near future, unless something unexpected happens or I'm in need of support, which I would use a different sub for. I will only post another update once the divorce has been finalized, which won't be for months. Thank you all for the advice and support. Story 2. 5 days ago, my wife, a 25-year-old female, gave birth to our second child, our daughter. Then, our 3-year-old son came home 2 days later. For the past 5 days, I, a 25-year-old male, have put myself on baby duty every night, giving my wife a full night's sleep, as well as getting the kids up and ready for the day. Yesterday morning, after pulling another all-nighter, I had gotten the kids ready to go out. I don't mind it, as it gives me one-on-one time with baby girl and a chance to get my run back with Right On. It also gives my wife the chance to get herself ready at her own pace, as she's still recovering. She's doing amazing, but she started to feel bad about me not getting any sleep. I told her it's okay, and I'm fine with it, but last night, before I put our son to bed, I asked my wife if she could watch the kids for a moment while I went to the bathroom. When I came back, she had obviously been crying. I immediately went into panic mode, but she calmed me down, explaining that her moment of distress was caused by her feeling like she wasn't doing enough. She felt horrible that I was choosing to stay with our daughter rather than getting any sleep. I understood her, and she sent me to bed. When she woke up this morning, after I got a night of intermittent sleep, I knew I shouldn't feel like an idiot. But I always overthink, and as a dad, I never feel like I'm doing enough or what I do compares to what my wife does. She's amazing and just went through childbirth, and I just want to give her the time she needs to recover. Am I the idiot? Relevant comments. Let me make sure I have this straight. This thread is about both parents feeling like jerks because they feel like they aren't doing enough to help the other parent rest. This has to be a humble brag, right? No idiot here. Let your wife know not to worry. She did the heavy lifting the last trimester, really the whole pregnancy, and that you are happy to carry the load a bit until you can't. And by then, she should be rested enough that you two can walk forward together. A bit of both, but I truly do feel like I need to be doing more. I want to prove that not every man is doing just the bare minimum, and that I can take care of our kids and be trusted just as much as mothers are by default. Update. So, a lot of people saw my last post. I mean a lot. Too many people commented for me to get to every comment and respond, so I apologize for that. I thank you all for the supportive words. I do not, however, appreciate any slander towards my wife. For a little context, I felt like an idiot because I made my wife cry while leaving her with the kids, regardless of her telling me that it was only for a trip to the bathroom and necessary for me to sleep in our own bed. Secondly, I currently have 6 weeks off of work for child bonding, so work is no sweat as of now. Thirdly, whomever commented that we should take shifts, you all get cookies. We discussed taking shifts starting tonight, with me taking the night and early mornings. Finally, there is a whole host of backstory on why we're both a bit emotional. This is our second child, but our third pregnancy. Our daughter is our rainbow baby, who we thought we wouldn't have, not just for the reason mentioned, but we nearly divorced 2 years prior in a particularly nasty way. A commenter found one of my previous posts and asked why I stayed with her. For context, almost 2 years ago, we were drinking at a friend's birthday party, and some very hurtful things were said that couldn't be taken back, even after sobering up. I was too hurt to move on, and I told her I wanted a divorce. We both knew it was because alcohol was the problem, and she swore she would get help. The idea that we needed couples counseling, CC, and individual counseling, IC, was also thrown in. We both uncovered problems that needed resolving. Long story short, we focused on fixing the problems in ourselves and our marriage and started breaking generational cycles. Unfortunately, a lot of roadblocks came our way during our healing. My good friend of 10 plus years cut me off for choosing to give my wife another chance. Her mom got arrested. We moved into a smaller house. Another friend tried to break us up. My father passed away. I could go on, but you get the point. Fast forward to October 2023, we are at such a spot that we have both been sober since that party, and we were more in love with each other than ever. We talked about having a second baby. We found out that she's pregnant mid-October and started planning a reveal for Thanksgiving for our family. Then, a few days after Halloween, she miscarried. This is where the feeling of not doing enough comes in. I was at work, 35 miles away, when she needed to go to the hospital. The person who she thought was her best friend for 8-ish years chose not to go with her, so she had to go by herself. On top of that, she was trying to wrangle and stay strong for a rambunctious toddler. I felt horrible, and even with therapy, I haven't really been able to move on from that. So, when she got pregnant with our daughter, I did every little thing for her with gusto. This naturally led up to an exceeding past birth, evolving into a mantra of, I will be the best husband and father I can humanly be. This leads to another common comment I've been seeing, her MTIB moment. We both have a dark sense of humor and make light of our pain before helping each other through a problem. So, her saying that she had a mentee B was just breaking the ice on her problem, leading to the related problem. Some people seem to have the misconception that a little bit of crying is not a mental breakdown. You have no right to say someone is or isn't going through something, regardless of the circumstance. And me, I downplay because of privacy, but I guess I need to say that while I went to the bathroom and our son was in his room and our newborn was fast asleep, my wife sobbed at her hands and knees, fearing that she might fall down that path again. I was only taking on so much responsibility because she's afraid I'm preparing to take them in case she does spiral. When someone posts something a bit vague, it's not necessarily for ulterior motives. This post was made to answer any questions people had regarding the other one and to give background on our marriage. So I may not update again. I do sincerely thank everyone who was kind in the comments, especially all the moms who mentioned the 5 days thing. It gave my wife a laugh and some relief. Additional info. Upon reflection and consulting with my therapist, we believe the friend that cut me off was trying to get me to leave my wife for her. That's what the friend who was trying to break us up was trying to do as well. My wife usually is a great judge of character, and she has a very big heart. She really has come a long way. I didn't want to have to put all her growth in the post, but I can rattle some stuff off. She went to AA. She learned how to drive. She started setting boundaries with friends and family, and she was the one who ended the friendship with her ex-boyfriend, just to name a few accomplishments. Relevant comments. Sending you both so much love. It sounds like you've been through the ringer, but you're hanging in there. Stay strong. You're doing great. It's been a rough year, yeah, but we're making it through. Thank you for the kind words. Hey, Opie, thanks for the update. I'm so glad you managed to have a conversation with her about this. You're a good husband and father, and she will appreciate all the support you're giving her. I'm glad the 5 days suggestion made her laugh. That's just what you need to do. Keep joking with her if that's what she enjoys. Just continue to be there to support her, and make sure you look after yourself as best you can. Stay strong, you're doing a fab job. You'll both be okay. Something she told me was, you don't get an achievement for getting X amount of sleep. All I can say is therapy has done wonders.